Good morning, Holly Clemens, Mary Lowe, and Lynn Davenport from Families Engaged. We're back talking to you again about House Bill 1, which is the omnibus voucher bill. I'm going to start with one more way that this is a lie. On the fiscal note, on page 11 of the fiscal note, it talks in here about what the government currently believes we have available in our private schools. So everybody's saying, I want out of my government school and I want to go to a private school with government money through an ESA. And right now, our government is only estimating that there are 25,000 open seats for all Texas students through 2025. And there are anywhere between 6.1 and 6.2 million Texas children in K through 12 right now. I guess it would be 3 years old through 12 for preschool. And so TEA is also going to assume that there's going to be 30,500 seats available in 2026. So that means that more schools are going to pop up in between 2025 and 2026 that are going to be accepting these, which it's just popping up more government-run schools. So what you are trying to escape in your public school, you're going to be getting the exact same thing in your private school. But for them to act like this is for all kids and all the parents that are screaming parent empowerment and choice and all of the things, there aren't enough seats available. And the bill is only currently funding 57,500 kids. But there's only 25,000 seats that are going to be available by 2025. So it's not honest. The bill is not honest because their options are not out there. And for them to say that these are for low income kids or special needs kids, how many of these 25,000 seats are a low tuition private school or a school that can take kids with special needs?
So I want to talk about how we get from one number of seats to the bigger number of seats. So in this bill, the commissioner, one person, has the authority to approve the schools that will be able to take these vouchers or these ESAs, whatever you want to call them. So the schools will have to get approved. And one of the things that they will have to do to get approved is going to be the assessment. And at every hearing that we have been to, we have encountered the Catholic Church. And as I testified in private meeting before the session ever started, these hearings ever started occurring, it was noted that the Catholic Church schools were in crisis and that what was wrong with us helping them. I don't like when bills are written in such a way to assure that the money goes to a certain person. We have a law for open bids in the state of Texas, and that is not an open bid. That is a directed transfer of money to the Catholic Church by the commissioner. And that's what this is built for. So all of a sudden, that's where you're going to see the expansion. Now, Lynn, I want you to talk about, so the parents that we work with and that we represent and the complaints that we hear about the school is the woke ideology that's being pushed in our school. And it's also a globalization and a socialization and an undermining of American ideas and principles. And everything you read today about the Catholic Church in and of itself is very woke, and the Catholic Church actually now, under their current leadership, represents the very concepts that our people want out of the school. So why is that the case?
Well, so what we see that the church as a whole is under attack, but we really see it, globally and worldwide with the Catholic Church. So one thing that I found is interesting is the governor has called it universal school choice. And actually the word Catholic means universal. So it's interesting that, and also universal basic income. I have often said that these education savings accounts are no different than universal basic income. So universal is an interesting word that keeps coming up, but the governor said he was going to expand the call. And this was supposed to be for all children to be able to access the education dollars. Well, it's not. When you read these bills, they're actually discriminating. Only certain groups can access the money, and so it's not really universal school choice anyway. Holly, I think it's important that you brought up the fiscal note, which we have not really talked about the total fiscal note and the cost of this bill. $36 billion is what the total bill is over a period, several years, as they expand it year over year. The Catholic Church has fallen prey to not only the global education, this agenda to equalize America and the world, and to undermine how children learn and undermine the values that they've learned at home and at church. So they have fallen prey to the federal strings and Common Core, which Texas said no to Common Core, even though it came in through the back door. So why would the Catholic Church be okay with bringing the government into the church even more than it already has? So that's a question. And this is not an attack on the Catholic Church, as we have our fellow Catholic. What?
It's not an attack on people or families
right.
that honor that faith tradition or the liturgy at all. This is about the structure of the organization itself and what they are choosing to do and what they are representing, their leadership is doing.
Mm-hmm. And we know that they are using, so they pulled the churches in to get in on this game of having the money follow the child. But what they don't understand is once those churches and those private schools and those parents take the money, they will no longer be able to teach the way that they want to teach. And that's an important point to make. And so that's why the homeschool families who know this, they say, I don't ever want that money. I don't want the government in my business. I want to be able to teach my child, because my true parental empowerment is being able to teach your kid what you believe they need to know. That won't happen once they take those dollars, because you will have to jump through the hoops. You will have to account for how you're spending the money. And that's where the control comes in, through accreditation and other means to control information and how the kids learn.
I also see real constitutional issues with taxpayer dollars being funded to a church-sponsored school or a church-sponsored anything. And I think we're already on very slippery slopes with several other bills that have been passed that blur the lines between church and state. But the issue is not the church and state. The issue is the civil liberties, where we're setting ourselves up to be sued. If we're going to let those tax dollars go to one specific religion, then why isn't it going to, we just drove by a Baha'i center. Why isn't it going to the Baha'i that want to have a school for just the Baha'i? And
Rick Green mentioned that when he was doing his talk show about this issue. And I thought it was interesting. He was like, well, I mean, if you want the money to go to your Christian school or your Muslim school, and he acted like that was okay. And I'm thinking, most of the people who are driving this think it's going to go into Christian hands. And it can go in a Wiccan school. The government can fund any ideology or any faith. And that the separation of church and state was to keep the government out of the churches. This is welcoming it with open arms.
Yeah. And again, the other thing that I would say here is that this bill, going back to my very first statement, this bill is setting up an entity that all decisions are made by one person. And when the power of the government changes hands, the power of that one person also changes hands. So, I mean, I don't think we're that far away, and I'm not trying, I just think that religion should be kept out of it. We're not that far away from the possibility of someone who is not a believer of any faith being elected, and that they appoint to that spot someone who doesn't have any boundaries around any aspect of it, and they make anything. They could make any cult a recipient. So I really feel this is the most dangerous bill that I have seen come out of other than 1605. And actually, this is worse than 1605.
I didn't think it could get worse. I told Buckley that, Representative Buckley. I said, I didn't think it could get worse than your House Bill 1605, but here we are, way bigger boondoggle, 177 pages worth of fraud, waste, abuse. I do want to talk about MAPS testing, because that's one thing that we didn't mention, is that's a norm reference test. It's actually a computer adaptive assessment that is being used in not only the public schools, but also private schools. MAPS testing is controversial because no two assessments are the same, because it's adaptive. It responds to how your child answers. And so the teacher doesn't even know the questions that are being asked. And this is on a device. NWE Maps is the NWEA is the vendor. And this is what will likely be used it's already being used in some of the private schools, but it's likely what will be used as mentioned in the bill, although STAR test and other standardized tests can be used as an assessment. So that's something that those who understand why that's a problem is what they're being tested on, you can't see. And it can be changed at any time, and it could be inappropriate. It could be age inappropriate. It could be, all kinds of issues with what they're learning, how they're learning. And so just to caution you there. Anything else before we go besides our action items?
So I think that's it. Holly, do you have anything?
I think people just need to understand what an adaptive test means. Most people don't understand. If a question comes in and two children get the same question and one gets it right and one gets it wrong, the one that gets it wrong, their next question will be dumbed down to try to get a result where the kids are doing better, but it's going to be dumbing the test down. And for the other kid, they're going to get a question that's going to be more challenging for them. And so then it's going to be skewing the results between the two children. And so that's what adaptive means. And I don't think that most people understand what that is in their assessments, and that the kids in the classroom are not all getting the same test.
So, okay, thank you. Remember to call the House representatives
And the governor.
But I also think it's important to let the lieutenant governor. We've not talked about the lieutenant governor's office. It's very important to call him as well, because inside he is the driver of the voucher. Although, say again.
He's driving the vouchers and charters. Any means to shift the money into private hands, the lieutenant governor.
Yes.
Regardless of who that is, that could even be the Gulen Islamic Charters. That he's
It has been with this lieutenant governor. So I think it's very important that specific today that you call or email.
And if you're a Republican, tell them. If you're a Republican voter, tell them that you're a Republican voter.
Yeah, that we've been in charge for 30 years, and we've really we need to start holding up a mirror to the legislature.
Education problem. So, in closing, so many people have said that they're angry that the school system is the way it is, and we are too. And we do not believe that the schools where the children go should be burned down. And the people who are screaming to burn the school system down, burn it down, get rid of it, they are burning down the local school district in the communities with children inside. We say burn it down too, but we want you to burn down where the problem is, and it is at the state level with the overgrown, failed Texas Education Agency and several of the other three-letter agencies and the Texas legislature. They are responsible.
Department of Ed as well. So starting with the top fish rots at the head, we have to start at the top, work our way down. Then we can actually have local responsibility and local governance and local control, because you've eliminated the heavy hand of the distant government that is where the bulk of our taxes are going. Okay. Well,
thank you so much.
Yeah. One more thing. If you call in to these representatives and you don't know what to say, but you've listened to everything that we've said and your head is spinning around, just know that these special sessions are costing us about $3 million each. So this is our fourth. So we're $12 million in for nothing. And all of the voucher bills are serving less than 1% of Texas children, while leaving 99% of Texas children inside of public education, and it's on fire. So how about we take some of that $12 million or the $36.4 billion that is HB1, and let's provide that to our public schools so that they can start changing things around. It's a waste of money for 1% of kids, leaving 99% trapped inside.
Thanks. Everybody call, and you do not have to call your own representative. Call them all. Thank you.
Bye, y'all.